Lindsay Clancy, a former labor and delivery nurse from Duxbury, Massachusetts, is charged with murdering her 3 young children, Cora, Dawson, and Callan, in January 2023. Prosecutors allege the killings were deliberate and calculated. Her defense acknowledges that she caused the children's deaths, but argues that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and was not criminally responsible. The central question is, was this intentional murder or a catastrophic break from reality? Lindsay Clancy has pleaded not guilty and is presumed innocent unless proven guilty.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, are you ready? Thank you, Judge. Sir, I'm going to try to just redirect towards the interview that you had of Lindsay regarding her journey. On November 29th of 2022, do you recall which healthcare provider she visited?
I believe that Ms. Clancy saw Ms. Gelada for treatment.
That would be nurse practitioner Gelada?
Yes.
Do you know what she complained on November 29th that her symptoms were?
She was having issues with unstable mood, depression, and psychotic symptoms of disassociation.
Did she also, on that date, November 29th of 22, complain that she had what is referred to as a flattened affect?
Yes, and that was also paired with derealization.
And what does that mean?
That an individual experiencing derealization doesn't feel things are real when they look around. They don't think that what they're seeing is in the reality that they're in.
Now, at this time, towards the end of November into early December of 22, she was living in Duxbury, is that correct?
That's correct.
And she's living with her husband and her 3 children, 3 young children, correct?
Yes.
And was the husband working?
Yes.
Where was he working?
Pardon me, Attorney Redding?
Where was he working?
He was working for Microsoft, but in a home office that was in the basement of the house.
And she's obviously taking care of Callan the infant and Dawson and, Cora.
Yes.
Right? And the kids were in school a couple of days a week in the preschool, the Little Sprouts or something like that, right?
Yes.
So did she improve at that point, sir, or did she end up going to South Shore Perinatal Clinic on December 2nd?
She did not improve. She was getting worse. She did go to the South Shore Perinatal Clinic.
And would that be on December 2nd?
December 2nd, yes.
And what was the reason, what were her complaints that brought her to South Shore Perinatal Clinic on December 2nd?
She felt that her brain was damaged. She felt that she should kill herself. And she's never going to get any better.
Did she also express fear that people could hear her thoughts and that anything adverse would happen in her life regarding being a mother and having children?
Yes, that's called thought broadcasting.
And what was her concern about the children?
Her concern was that when people could hear her thoughts, her children would be removed from her care.
Now, and keep your voice up, please.
Yes.
Did she indicate, and I quote, that she had bad and intrusive thoughts, and she didn't even feel that they were like mine, telling me I should kill myself, my brain is damaged, you're never going to get better?
Yes.
And did that type of intrusive thought or persecutory thought continue for a period of time?
Yes. So it got worse.
Did it get so bad that she ended up doing something?
Yes, that's correct.
What did she do?
She called the suicide hotline.
And do you know when that was, sir?
That was December 4th, 2022.
Did she receive any help from the suicide hotline?
She did not.
Why is that?
They told her she did not meet the standard of care because she did not have a plan.
Did she call the suicide hotline again, if you're aware?
Yes, she did.
Do you know when that was? Was that in December?
Yes, I believe that was perhaps the following week around the 15th, but I'm not positive about that.
Did she receive help on the second call that she called the suicide hotline?
No, she did not.
Can you tell us at this point now, we're talking about in December, let's say towards December 15th or thereabouts, what were her symptoms at that time regarding any complaints or observations that she had about paranoia or things of that nature?
Yes. She was having paranoid symptoms of psychosis, and she was getting more depressed.
Did she make any comments about DCF or the police at that point?
Yes.
Now, to your knowledge, did she ever have any involvement in her entire life with the police?
Never.
And did she express that she was in fear or concerned about DCF and or the police in the middle of December 22?
Very much so.
What did she say?
She was worried that her children would be removed from her and that she would never see them again.
Now, at this point, what medication was she on? First paragraph, page 9.
She started to take, at that point, Seroquel, Remeron, and Klonopin.
Did she make any complaints at that point about the effect, if any, of
Yeah.
medications?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said she felt like a zombie.
Did she present with any particular medical observation that you refer to?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well,
Attorney.
paragraph 1 on page 9, you indicate she presented with anhedonia.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Anhedonia is a word that means without pleasure. When someone has anhedonia, they cannot enjoy life, they don't laugh, they have no pleasure.
Continuing on into December, what was her status of her condition of depression and symptoms of paranoia and intrusive thoughts, et cetera, that we've talked about?
It continued unabated.
On December 15th of 22, right before the holidays, did she go somewhere?
Yes, she did.
Where'd she go?
She went to the clinic in Rhode Island, Parents and Women's Clinic, partial day hospitalization program.
And she didn't get any help there either, right?
That's correct.
Did she go at some point around that same time frame to Mass General Hospital?
Yes, she did.
Now, you knew that she worked at Mass General Hospital for 9 years, right?
That's correct, in labor and delivery.
She wasn't there visiting friends, right?
That's correct.
Why was she there?
She was there in the emergency room to seek help.
Did she get help on that day?
She did not.
So after going to the MGH ER, at some point in December 30th, what did she do?
She went back to the emergency room at Mass General.
Now, for example, on December 15th, did Pat Clancy, her husband, get involved with her medical treatment?
Yes.
And do the medical records indicate that he did something with her?
Yes, he brought her to the partial hospitalization program in Rhode Island.
Did he also bring her to the Mass General Hospital ER?
Yes, he did.
Did he also bring her to see the doctor or the nurse practitioner, Gelater, and complain about the medication?
Yes.
So December 30th, or 31st of 2022, she was admitted voluntarily to McLean, right?
That's correct, yes.
How long was she there for?
She was there till the 5th. She was discharged January 5th, 2023.
Was that a voluntary discharge? They cleared her as well to be discharged?
Yes.
That was not what is referred to as AMA, or against medical advice, right?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, it's not AMA. It's not against medical advice. She was following hospital guidelines. She was discharged accordingly.
And she wanted to go to her daughter's some function?
She wanted to go to her daughter Cora's birthday party, which was held on the 7th of January.
Now, at this point, what was her status? Was she weaned off of medication, or on her way to being weaned off of medication when she got out of McLean?
I believe so, yes. She was being tapered down on her medication.
And what was the medication that she was tapered down on?
I believe it was Seroquel and Klonopin.
Did her intrusive thoughts and the paranoia, did that abate? Did that stop?
It did not.
Now, when she was home in the month of January after Cora's birthday, which I think was on January 7th, did she continue to have these intensive, intrusive thoughts?
Yes.
Can you tell us, when we say intrusive thoughts, is she referring to intrusive thoughts like you might think of something coming up next week that's bothersome, or is this a indication, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree, of medical certainty as to what she was experiencing at that point in January of 2023?
She wasn't just having everyday thoughts that we all have, reminding ourselves to do something, which we make note of, and then we move on. Intrusive thoughts are unrelenting. They don't stop. They're what we call ego dystonic. You don't want them. They keep interfering with your ability to get through the day.
Did she have, at this point, intrusive thoughts continuing regarding voices that in her head that she heard constantly?
Yes.
What were these voices saying to her?
They were getting worse, and they were telling her to kill herself.
And as January continued, she was, to your knowledge, using her computer to look up drugs and interactions and side effects and things of that nature?
Yes.
If a person is in a psychosis, or as I think you said premorbidly, psychosis, are they able to do things like look up things on a computer?
Yes.
And you're aware that she actually at one point looked up, can you cure, I think, a sociopath or a psychopath or something like that?
A sociopath, yes.
Is that indicative of her feeling that she is a homicidal maniac and has to have some help, or is that in the same time frame that she was Googling all of the effects of medications on a human being?
Is it an objection?
Yes.
Yeah, sustained.
So during the period that she was Googling, well, let me ask you, what was she Googling?
Googling words about sociopaths, sociopathy. Can you treat a sociopath? What are hallucinations?
What else?
Bear with me one moment, if you don't mind.
Well, you had a chance. Did you look at the Google searches that she had
Yes.
done that's in evidence, and the jurors were able to look at it?
Yes.
Did she continue to Google the effects of medication, psychosis, numbness, heaviness, unable to, things like that?
Yes. All things that are related to the way
And if
she
a
was
person
feeling.
is in a psychotic state, are they able to continue to Google and use a computer to look things up?
Yes.
They're able to use a phone?
Yes. People who are in that state can do things they've done before. New tasks may be difficult, like changing a tire, but if you looked up things on the internet, you can look them up again. If you drove a car, you can drive a car.
Now, the morning of January 24th, I believe she went somewhere. Is that right?
Yes.
Where'd she go?
She's taken her daughter to a pediatrician, a standing pediatrician appointment.
And is it your understanding, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that a person who's in a psychotic state is able to drive a car for a short distance, go to an appointment, and interact and talk to people?
Yes, they can do everyday tasks of living.
So the fact that she's not talking about the unicorns in the corner, and she's not slurring her speech, and she's not unable to walk, to your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, does that mean that she's not in a psychotic state?
It does not.
Would you tell us, after she took Cora to the doctors, and the jurors have had a chance to look at the exhibits, there's photographs between her and her husband, Pat, back and forth. In the afternoon, what did she do?
She built a snowman in the backyard with two of her kids.
Later in that day, Google directions to a restaurant, 3V restaurant, I believe?
Yes.
Is that something that a person can do when they're in that type of a state?
Easily.
Did the
Yes.
voices or the intrusive thoughts, to your interview and your understanding, abate or stop at that point on January 24th?
No.
Did they continue?
Yes.
And did she communicate by text with her husband about getting dinner and getting something from CVS?
Yes.
And what was it? Was it Pedialyte?
Pedialyte or Flexlax, it's a stool softener for her child.
And that's something that was prescribed by the doctor, right?
Yes.
Does that make sense that if somebody is in a state where they're having these symptoms, that they're able to remember that the doctor wanted the child to have Pedialyte and she tells her husband to get Pedialyte?
Yes, it does not interfere with that type of everyday living.
She indicated to you, sir, that that evening after the husband had, oh, by the way, was it your understanding from talking to her that the husband had taken trips, gone away for weekends, gone on ski trips, had brunches with his friends, and was out of the house on a regular basis?
Yes.
That night is when the children were killed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we've heard repeatedly about the circumstances of the going out the window and the weather and the damages and the injuries and going to the hospital. Doctor, based on your review of all of the medical records, did you administer any testing, by the way, to her? Like you were talking about psychological testing?
Yes.
And what were the psychological tests that you performed?
Initially, I did a mini mental status exam, MMSE. It's just a common test
Wait a
about
minute.
orientation.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. NSE? What is that?
MMSE, mini mental status examination. Very common test.
Okay.
Demonstrating whether someone has a field of knowledge, who's the president, what direction should travel, and basic things like where are you, what day is today, who are you. And then I did another test as well.
What other test was that, sir?
That's the HARE psychopathy checklist, HARE.
What does that do?
That's a measure of antisocial personality disorder.
And do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty based upon the scale that you used to assess whether or not Lindsay Clancy had anti-personality disorder?
Yes.
What was the result?
The result is that she does not have any type of antisocial personality disorder, also known as sociopathy.
In addition to reviewing the medical records and testing and meeting with her, did you also interview third parties?
Yes.
Is that referred to in the psychology as collateral contacts?
Yes.
And you reviewed and interviewed a number of people in her family or friends or people in her social circle, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors, sir, to a reasonable degree? Well, let me ask you this. Are you familiar with Mass General Hospital doing a major research program on postpartum psychosis?
Yes.
And did they publish an article, a significant article, regarding the circumstances, symptomology, and things of that nature of postpartum psychosis?
Yes.
And would you agree, sir, that the symptoms of postpartum psychosis would be depression? Is that one?
Yes.
Did Lindsay, to your opinion, have depression?
Yes.
And were there indications from your review of the medical records that she felt low, flat, tearful, emotional, crying?
All of those things, yes.
Did she also express anxiety, feeling tense, nervousness?
All of those things, yes.
Did she also express feelings that she was withdrawn, not able to socialize with people, wanting to talk or be near others?
All of those things as well, yes.
She indicate that she felt tired, heavy, without energy?
Absolutely, yes.
Did she indicate that she was having a harder time taking care of her children?
Yes.
Did she indicate that she was having issues regarding personal hygiene, not bathing, things of that nature?
Yes.
Did she indicate that she had severe confusion in actually hearing or seeing things that aren't there? In her case, it would not be seeing, that would be visual hallucinations. But did she complain of hearing things that weren't there, hallucinations?
Yes.
Did she complain of thoughts and beliefs that were not within reality and that she was in a disassociated state,
Yes.
out of reality?
Yes.
Did she indicate that, did you observe that there were circumstances where she exhibited increased energy, activity, productivity, otherwise known as hypomania.
Yes.
Did she complain that she had racing thoughts, a, quote, busy brain, end quote, increased creativity?
Yes.
And when she said in your review of the medical records that she was having a busy brain, did she express the fact that she would get confused and that she thought her brain was damaged?
Yes, that's correct.
Was she restless and agitated, unable to keep still?
Yes.
Unable to sleep?
Yes, extremely unable to sleep.
So can you tell this jury, sir, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty based upon all of what you have reviewed, all of what we have talked about, all of what you have considered, as to whether or not at the time of this incident resulting in the killing of these 3 little kids that she was suffering from a mental disease or defect, such as that she lost substantial capacity to appreciate the wrongfulness of her act, or, in the disjunctive, was unable to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law?
Yes.
Tell the jury what your opinion is, please.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or defect. That's a legal construct, not a DSM-5 one, but she had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, Commonwealth.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So yesterday, when you first took the stand, Attorney Reddington asked you a little bit about your background. Recall that?
Yes.
And you, in this field of being a psychologist and a forensic psychologist, you circulate a curriculum vitae where all that is outlined, right?
Yes.
And fair to say, you testified yesterday, and on your curriculum vitae, you speak briefly about the fact that you have previously testified for the Commonwealth, you said, as well as for the defense, correct?
Yes.
You referred to defendants and respondents, right?
Yes.
And so one of the things that you've done in the past is to be what's called a qualified examiner, right?
Yes.
You are currently not actively doing those examinations, are you?
I actually have done one, but I don't actively do that anymore.
Okay. And so in those respects, is that when you say you testify for the Commonwealth, is that primarily the work that you would do where you say you testify for the Commonwealth?
Yes.
And in those evaluations that you do, is it fair to say that you're actually an independent contractor with a company that contracts with the Department of Correction on those cases?
Those are what qualified examiners are. That's correct. That's how you become a qualified examiner through the DOC.
Right. And you're an examiner, a qualified examiner, is retained or takes work in doing evaluations in order to perform independent assessments, are they not?
Yes.
So they're not hired by the Commonwealth.
They are, because the company that retains the qualified examiners is hired by the Commonwealth, and these forensic psychologists are then appointed cases to do these types of examinations. So it's under the big umbrella of the Commonwealth.
So, yeah, big umbrella Commonwealth, meaning Department of Correction, an agency that is under the seal of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But as far as when we talk about Commonwealth, like Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy, that's the prosecution. In those proceedings, the Department of Correction sometimes is the moving party, right?
Yes.
And sometimes it's the district attorney's office who's the moving party.
Yes.
But it's never the defendant who's the moving party.
Never.
And in those types of proceedings, sometimes if you opine a person is what they call sexually dangerous, you would testify for the Commonwealth, right?
Yes.
And if they're not, or if you find that they're not sexually dangerous, you'd testify for the respondent.
Yes, we're neutral.
So you're not
Testify with the
testifying
facts.
for the Commonwealth. As in the prosecution, you're testifying under the big umbrella of the Commonwealth.
I think it's a matter of semantics, because if you do an evaluation and you render an opinion that this patient is sexually dangerous, when you testify, you are working with the district attorney's office and you review your case with the DA. And the way I see it is that you're testifying for the Commonwealth as an independent examiner, but on that day, you're testifying for the Commonwealth or that DA's office.
And you haven't done that work in closely a decade, fair to say?
No, that's not true.
Well, pre-pandemic, correct?
That's not true.
So when was the last time you testified for the Commonwealth, meaning the prosecution, in an SDP proceeding?
So I was assigned a case through Suffolk County, the Sexual Dangerousness Unit, by ADA, Kelly Ryan, Kelly. And I did that evaluation on July 2nd, 2026.
And have you testified at a probable cause hearing for that?
No, I wrote a report which was in lieu of testifying.
Where you opined that somebody was sexually dangerous?
Yes.
Okay. Fair to say, though, the majority of your work here in Massachusetts over the last few years is contracted with the Committee for Public Counsel Services, correct?
Yes.
And for the fiscal year of 2024, you were paid by CPCS in the open checkbook for approximately $340,000 worth of time and work.
That's about right. We get paid a fixed rate. It's a government rate that's assigned to all examiners.
And for the fiscal year of 2025, it was approximately $300,000 that you were paid through the Committee of Public Counsel Services.
That sounds about right.
You also indicated yesterday that you have known Attorney Reddington for a number of years, correct?
Yes.
Fair to say you've done quite a bit of work with him over the years?
That's an expansive term, but I work with him.
It just requires a yes or a no.
Yes.
And you've also testified that you have your doctorate in clinical psychology, right?
Yes.
And you testified yesterday, or you told us a lot about your military experience, but as you sit here today, you are not a prescriber of medications here in the Commonwealth, are you?
I am not.
You
and
don't
I was not yesterday either when I was asked about that.
Right. You told us all about your experience in the military and having that limited ability to prescribe years ago. But as far as you sit here today, and in your evaluations that you do today, you don't do forensic psychiatry evaluations, do you?
That's correct, but I just want to clarify for a point of accuracy. I was not in the military. I worked for the Department of State.
I believe I said your work with the military, but thank you. So here in Massachusetts, you conduct primarily forensic you conduct evaluations in forensic psychology, correct?
Yes, for the most part.
Okay. And you are aware that there are particular standards for forensic psychologists working within the criminal justice system, right?
Yes, but just to be a little more clear, forensic psychologists such as myself also work for police departments doing evaluations for fitness for duty. So although they're law enforcement, they're not engaged or accused of any criminal activity.
Well, I'm referring to your role when you come into the court and you testify as you are today as a forensic psychologist. That's what I'm referring to. You're aware that there are particular standards in place by the ABA criminal justice, mental health standards is one of them, right? You're familiar with that?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the American Psychological Association specialty guidelines for forensic psychology?
Yes.
And fair to say that with those standards, they're not required, but people are encouraged to follow them, right?
I think that's fair to say.
And the criminal justice, the ABA criminal justice mental health standards actually identify the different types of roles that forensic evaluators have in the criminal justice system, including evaluating, consulting, and treating, right?
Yes.
And so, fair to say standard 7-1.3 indicates that for evaluative experts, the obligation is to make a thorough and impartial assessment based on sound evaluative methods to reach an objective opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And so, again, in the American Psychological Association Specialty Guidelines, section 1.02 indicates that forensic practitioners strive to be unbiased and impartial and avoid partisan presentations of unrepresentative, incomplete, or inaccurate evidence. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Is that a standard you strive to follow?
Yes.
Okay. In this case, you indicated that you've been with the case since February 4th of the year 2023, correct?
Yes, 41 months.
And you've authored a report, you said, in June, I believe, of 2026, correct?
Yes.
But you've also offered other reports or updates of the defendant's condition over the years. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you provided a report, an update, I should say, in July of 2025.
Yes.
Do you recall that? And in that report, you identify that as of July 23rd, 2025, that the defendant was residing at Duxbury Hospital. Do you recall that? Putting that in?
Yes.
And that there was a planned transfer to Worcester Recovery Hospital, or Worcester Recovery Center and Hospital. Do you recall writing that?
I don't know if it was a plan. It was a hope and a goal, but it was not an official plan.
Well, I can provide you with your report if you'd like to review, but it reads, currently, Ms. Clancy resides at Duxbury Hospital with a planned transfer to Worcester Recovery Center and Hospital.
That sounds right. Yes.
Okay. And that she is presently medication stabilized and is in the process of discontinuing most, if not all, psychotropic medications, demonstrating an emerging capacity to stabilize without them. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
So in July of 2025, it was your opinion that she was stable and she would be, hopefully, as you say, transferred to a different facility, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that currently she's still at Duxbury Hospital?
Yes.
And currently she's still taking psychotropic medications?
That's true. Yes.
I think you also write in that report, I'll strike that. Going back to your most recent evaluation in June of 2026, you would agree with me that in an evaluation for criminal responsibility, being a forensic psychologist, it's really important to be as accurate as possible in your reports, correct?
Yes.
You want to make sure you get the facts right, right?
Yes.
Because your evaluation is not just based on what you learn from the individual you're evaluating, but also an independent review, an unbiased review of the records of the facts. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. So in your report, you indicate that the period of evaluation that you had with this individual is approximately 45 hours. Do you recall writing that and testifying about that yesterday?
I think I actually said I've met with her a total of 45 hours, but the evaluation was more than 35 hours, and I think it was 37 hours.
Okay. And you also said yesterday that in addition to that, you've met with her several other times for a total of approximately 60 times at least.
Not 60 additional times, but in total, yes, since the court trial has started a few weeks back.
Okay. Is that typical for you to spend 35 hours with a person that you're evaluating?
It does happen, but it's not typical.
You also indicated yesterday that one of how you became involved in this case is Attorney Reddington called you and asked you to go check on the, I think you said mental well-being. Is that what your
Mental
testimony
health or mental well-being at the time of her admittance to Brigham and Women's Hospital, which was roughly late January 2023.
And your first time there was February 4th, correct?
Yes.
Were you examining her as a potential patient at that point?
I was examining her as a colleague and friend of Attorney Reddington to see how she was faring. There was no predetermined notion whether I would be interested or willing or even offered the opportunity to take the case. I was just going to meet with her, given the fact that she was in a bed in ICU, locked to the bed frame, and no one was able to visit her.
So you went in to visit her?
Yes.
And when you went in to visit her, you indicated that she had recently been extubated in your testimony yesterday. You're aware from the review of the records that she was extubated on January 28th.
Yes. So the difference between January 28th and February 4th, I didn't know the date at that time, but I knew she was able to breathe on her own and express
And you're
verbal
aware,
language. Yes, expressive language.
You're aware that she had been communicating with staff at the hospital, including psychiatrists, right?
I don't know if I knew at that time, but I knew she had been speaking with the doctors and staff,
Well,
but not specifically who it was.
A person who goes through major trauma and is at a hospital and has made suicidal attempts, in your opinion, it would behoove the hospital to have that person talk to a psychiatrist, correct?
Yes. Overall.
Yes.
Now, in addition to meeting with the staff and the psychiatry team, prior to your arrival, were you aware that she had an attorney that had came to visit her a few times? Not Mr. Reddington, but a different attorney.
Yes, I don't know how many times, but I am aware that there was an attorney, Gelb, who was somehow involved in the case.
Okay, so there was somebody that came in to see her prior to you coming in to see her.
Yes.
Now, you testified yesterday that you performed a mental status exam that day on February 4th. Do you recall that?
I do.
Where in your report or the previous report from July or your June report do you outline the results of your mental status exam?
There is none, because if someone's not capable of just explaining who they are, where they are, and if they're clear of mentation and thinking, then I'll meet with them. But if they're not, I won't. So it's a sine qua non. You do that just to make sure you can keep meeting with them and that they are able to understand what you're talking about. Standard practice.
But you indicated yesterday that she did know who she was, right?
Yes.
She didn't know where she was.
Yes.
But I believe your testimony was that she did remember what happened, but she was foggy as to what happened.
Yes, that's correct.
And she actually, according to your testimony yesterday, asked you for your phone or to access your phone to make a phone call. Is that correct?
Yes.
So she was able to communicate with you.
Yes.
She asked you for something and you clearly understood what she was asking for.
Yes.
And you indicated that she asked to call her husband, right?
Yes.
Had you spoken with her husband before that time?
I did not speak with him at that time. I didn't know him, and I had not spoken to him prior to that time.
So how'd you get the phone number to call him?
I did not have the phone number to call.
So she provided you with a phone number to dial so that she could call him on speakerphone, right?
Yes.
And she remembered the number?
Yes.
And so you indicated on that day, on February 4th, that she left a voicemail, right?
Yes.
So in that voicemail message, were you able to identify that it was Patrick Clancy's phone? Did it say, hey, this is Pat, leave a message, or something to that effect?
I don't remember the salutation from the voice recording, but there was no evidence that it was not Patrick Clancy.
And as far as her confidence in the number, she gave it to you with no issue, did she not?
That's correct.
She didn't have her own cell phone to refer to, did she?
That's correct.
Or a pad of paper where all the numbers were written down?
She didn't.
You indicated that she left a message. Do you recall what the message was?
She expressed a love for him, wanted to know how he was doing, and that was pretty much it.
And again, you said that you didn't write down what the mental status exam was, but the fact that she was able to relay that message, was it clear and coherent, what she was saying?
Yes, mental status exams are multiple levels. Different things are asked. if you don't know where you are, it doesn't mean you can't have a conversation with someone.
And she was able to have a conversation with you that day.
Yes.
Now, you said you went back on February 6th and met with her again, correct?
Yes.
And you guys made another attempt at calling Patrick.
Yes.
Again, did you remember the number?
No.
Did you have it stored in your phone?
No.
Did she provide you his phone number to call?
Well, it was in my phone. I could just look it up in my phone. I didn't write it down. I didn't enter his name. Either she gave it to me again, or I just looked it up from 2 days prior.
But you don't recall, as you sit here today, which it was, do you?
No.
And you didn't write a report about that interaction, did you?
I did not.
So in the second phone call, you were able to actually hear that she was talking with Patrick on the other end, right?
Yes.
And at that time, when you were now second time meeting with her and having this phone call, were you aware that she had already changed her healthcare proxy from Patrick to her parents?
I did not know that.
Did you talk to Patrick in between the 4th and the 6th to find out if he had tried to come in to visit her?
I didn't speak to him at all, so I knew nothing about what his plans or intentions were.
Your testimony yesterday was that she had called him to tell him that she loved him and to see where they were at, right?
Yes.
That was your testimony? Meaning what, their relationship?
That I made no interpretation of what that meant. She left the message, and we left it at that.
But in that subsequent conversation that you were a witness to where they were speaking on the phone and she told them about these voices or explained about the voices, did she ask about the kids?
She did not, as I recall.
Now, in all of the times over the course of the last few years that you've met with Ms. Clancy, how many times has she told you since the incident that she's heard a voice currently?
She has not heard voices since the event took place in 2023.
And you've now testified that over the course of a period of time that she did hear voices, right?
Yes.
And is that based on one of these 35 hours worth of conversations you had with her? How do you know that?
Well, they were collateral contacts. I spoke to other people who I asked the nature of their interactions with Ms. Clancy, and it was not a fishing expedition. I asked them if they can tell me what happened.
Well, I'm asking
but they
you...
disclosed, pardon me.
You have to let them finish.
So they disclosed information to me that Ms. Clancy shared that information with them.
So who did she tell that she had a voice that told her to kill herself?
She spoke to a chaplain named Sheila Kavanaugh, who I spoke with, and Chaplain Kavanaugh told me that Ms. Clancy told her that she heard a male voice instructing her to first kill her children and then to kill herself.
So the same message that she delivered to Patrick that day on the phone, you heard from a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital after the incident occurred in January of 2023?
Yes.
And so from all of the records that you reviewed of her treatment and all of the interviews with her family, who did she tell that she heard voices telling her to kill herself?
I believe she told family members.
Which family members?
I believe she may have said that to her mother. She, I believe, told her husband that she felt like killing herself as well.
In the records with the providers, you're aware, you've reviewed them all and you've sat through all of their testimony. You're aware that when she described intrusive thoughts, she never referred to them as a voice telling her to kill herself, did they? Did she?
No, she was referring to...
It's just a yes or no?
No.
So as far as her reports of these intrusive thoughts that appear over and over in the notes, you would agree that it was simply, when asked about what they were, it was simply that she felt like she wanted to die, right?
Yes, and
It's just a yes or no.
yes.
Now, in your report, you go through what's called the sources of information. You're familiar with that part? It's pretty standard in a forensic report, right?
Yes.
Where you list all of the things that you've gone through and reviewed in compiling the information for your report.
So in my sources of information, I write, I reviewed the following, but that list is not limited to the following. So there might be other pieces of information that I may have reviewed, but didn't put in the list.
Okay, so not on the list are the Duxbury Hospital records that you said you reviewed recently, correct?
Yes, the 7,000 pages of those hospital notes, I didn't review all of them at the time of the report.
Did you review records from the Spalding Rehab Facility?
Yes.
That's not contained, though, in your list, in your report, is it?
I don't think it is.
And you don't cite to any of the Spalding Rehab records in your report coming to your ultimate conclusions, do you?
I do not.
And how about the women and infant records? Did you list that in your sources of information section?
I do not. She was there for 1 day.
Okay, but you've testified about that, right?
Yes.
Did you review them at all?
Yes.
And as far as the McLean records, you don't list the McLean records as a source of information in your report, do you?
I did not, but I did review them.
Now, you've described, and you describe in your report, that you believe that Ms. Clancy was hypomanic, right?
Yes.
And I believe you testified to some extent, and you've written in your report that you identify her as euphoric, excessively energetic for 3 months postpartum. Do you remember writing that in your report?
Yes.
That you note that she exercised early, right?
Yes.
But you're aware that she exercised pretty frequently before birth
Yes.
and while pregnant with Callan.
And while post-pregnancy with her children as well, yes.
So it was part of her routine, fair to say, right?
It's part of everyday living. Things sometimes change when you have a baby, and a few weeks later, if you're still doing the same exercise, it's sometimes a reflection of something other than committed to fitness.
And you identify what you refer to as a marketing scam, being that Beachbody business, right?
Yes.
But you're aware that that's a series of workouts and a line of nutritional shakes and exercise plans that millions of people engage in across the country.
Yes.
So it's not a scam. It's just a way of
That's
a lifestyle choice.
If you do something for marketing and you lose all your money and there's no effort to
did
get
she-
that back, it's a scam.
Yeah, you've asked them, you can kind of figure
Sorry.
out what its definition is, so.
Did she tell you she lost money with the Beachbody?
Yes.
When was that?
It was summer of 2022 after her third child was born.
No, when did she tell you that
When
she
did
lost
tell-
money?
I don't recall that.
And is it in your report?
It may be, but I'm not sure.
Well, I have it with me, or do you have it up there? Can you look and point to me where she told you, at what point she told you she lost money in this endeavor?
I don't know where it is. If it's here, it didn't seem relevant whether she lost money in a scam after her child was born
Well,
in terms of the big picture of what we're here for today.
you've described it as a scam because you said she lost money. So wouldn't it be important to know if she actually lost money?
I don't really think so.
Okay. You also identify the 5-mile race that she completed. Was it a 5-mile race or a 5K race?
Well, I wasn't sure which it was. I was told initially it was a 5-mile race. After my report was submitted, it may have been, with reflection, a 5K race.
And you've sat in the courtroom each and every day of this trial, so you've heard all the testimony about the evidence, right?
Actually, I've not been here every day, but I've been here most days, yes.
You're also aware that prior to the kids being born, that she considered herself a runner.
Yes.
Right? She had a treadmill at her house. She went to the gym and used the treadmill. She ran other races.
Yes.
Now, in your report, you indicate that part of the timeline of her medication and her decline is the September time period where she was prescribed the Zoloft, right?
Yes.
And you indicate that she had reported, and it's reflected in the records, that she increased the Zoloft, and that's when she couldn't sleep for 48 hours straight, right?
Yes.
And you're aware of what the instructions were, having reviewed everything in this case, what the pill bottle said as far as the plan for the Zoloft?
I'm not sure specifically the incremental plan to go from 25 milligrams to 50 milligrams of Zoloft.
Well, I have the bottle, exhibit number 2, sertraline, not Zoloft, right? Brand name Zoloft.
Yes.
Says take 1 oral tablet once a day for 1 week, then increase to 2 tablets daily thereafter.
Right.
Right on the label.
Right. That's 25 milligrams to 50 milligrams.
And again, having been at the majority of this trial, you aware that there were 30 in that prescription and 23 left in the bottle when they were inventoried.
Yes.
And those are pills that were in Patrick Clancy's possession at the time of these events in January. You're aware, right?
Yes, I believe they were in the middle console on the lower part of his truck, the lower part of the middle console in his truck.
So if there's only 7 pills missing from a prescription that requires the person to take a particular dosage for 1 week or 7 days, how did she double the dose?
Well, sometimes when you are given medication, you may have medication of the same exact dosage and the same exact medication another time, and you therefore may have pills that you didn't take the previous month or the month before that, and sometimes people just finish what they've had before and before they go on to the most current dose. So I am aware of what you're referring to, but I don't know if there are other bottles there that she may have had medication still in those pill bottles.
Well, I'm looking at exhibit number 1, a record from CVS Pharmacy, which all of these bottles are from. And the only time a prescription for sertraline is filled is on September 15th, 2022 for 30 pills. You aware of that?
Yes?
So there's no prior prescription for sertraline, is there?
I don't think so.
Now, in your report, you also refer to 1129, and your report on page 8, paragraph 2, says on 1129, Paula Gelada. Is that supposed to be Rebecca Gelada?
Yes.
Okay. So it also says that she prescribed Seroquel to treat Ms. Clancy's anxiety, depressed and unstable mood, and psychotic symptoms of disassociation and derealization. Where is that in Rebecca Gelada's record that that's why she prescribed Seroquel?
I'm not sure.
And in fact, you were present when Ms. Gelada testified and said that she prescribed it at 25 milligrams for insomnia, not for anxiety, depression, unstable mood, or psychotic symptoms. Did she not?
It's used off-label. It's sometimes medications are made for many things. Sometimes they're used off-label, not for what they're prescribed for. So that's a medication that is used for sleeping, although it's an antipsychotic.
But you're aware from reviewing the records and hearing testimony that that initial prescription was for a 25 milligram dose, correct?
Yes.
I know you're not a prescriber, but you're aware that a dose for treatment of bipolar is significantly higher than 25 milligrams.
Yes.
Now, you've described in your testimony in this court repeated auditory hallucinations about wanting to kill herself or that she should kill herself and that she is damaged or her brain is damaged, right?
That's correct.
Now, did you have a conversation with her in one of these 35 hours about that particular voice or thought or belief?
So when I meet with Ms. Clancy, it's not as if I have one conversation on one of the 35 hours. To have thoroughness and exactitude, one does what we call intra-rater reliability. In other words, over the period of time, to confirm what someone says to you to help endorse the veracity or accuracy of that, you'll ask that question in a multitude of different ways. So I don't just ask once, did you hear a voice on that day? I asked in different ways over time, and her answers pretty much remain the same.
So when you quote in your report, when questioned about the nature and content of these horrible thoughts, Ms. Clancy stated, quote, like a really bad and intrusive thought that I didn't feel like it was mine, telling me I should kill myself, your brain is damaged, you're never going to get better, end quote. Where does the quote come from?
Where does the quote come from?
Right.
She had said that to me.
To you, at some point.
Yes.
Okay. And this is well after the incident occurred, correct?
Yes.
And you reviewed all the records to know that she did not endorse that she was hearing a voice to any of her providers between September and January 23rd of 2023.
So when someone...
Yes or no, sir?
That's a difficult question to say yes or no from, because sometimes if someone says something that's inaccurate, it's not an affirmatory or a negative response. That's misleading.
My question to you, though, was where in the records from September to January 23rd or 2022 did she tell any of the providers she saw that she heard a voice telling her to kill herself?
It's not in the records.
Okay. And you're aware that she has spoken to several forensic psychiatrists and psychologists over the course of this case, right? Not just yourself.
Yes, she spoke to 3 retained experts in April 10th and April 12th of 2026. And then on June 12th of 2026, 1,172 days after I initially met with her, then 1,220 days after I met with her. That's the third examiner.
Well, you're aware that you're referring to Dr. Halbrin, Dr. Mack, and Dr. Satoff, correct?
Correct.
But you're aware that she also spoke with Dr. Resnick and Dr. Spinelli well before that.
On May 5th of 2023, approximately 90 days more or less later. Yes.
And you're also aware, sir, that she never told Dr. Resnick in a recorded interview, nor Dr. Halbrin, Dr. Mack, or Dr. Satoff that she heard.
Sustained.
Your testimony is that she told you that she heard this voice. Fair to say she identified to you that it was her own voice that she heard, correct?
That's not correct.
So she told you that she heard a male's voice?
That's correct.
When?
On the night of the incident, January 24th, 2023.
No, I'm referring to the fact that you've now testified that she heard this, as you call it, a persistent what's the word you use? Persecutorial voice over the course of time? Was that your testimony?
So you're referring to the ongoing negative voices or intrusive thoughts that she was hearing,
right?
Where she felt, in fact, other people could hear those voices, thought broadcasting. So there are multiple layers here of hearing intrusive thoughts.
So, but
hearing voices so loud that she believed other people could hear her. Those are 2 separate phenomena, if you will.
In those voices that you're saying she told you she heard about wanting to die or to kill herself or her brain was damaged prior to January 24th of 2023, did she say it was her own voice she could hear? It was her own thoughts?
She did not identify whose voice it was.
Fair to say the only time she specifically said she heard a male voice was when she recounts the events on January 24th of 2023.
Yes, that's accurate.
And you'd agree that there's a difference between the idea that somebody believes their thoughts would be or could be heard by others and the belief that they are being heard by others, right?
Yes, it's a matter of semantics, and it's a level of degreeism. Believing and knowing, two totally separate things.
And believing, having a fixed belief like that, would be a delusion, right?
That's correct. A delusion is a fixed false belief that is unshakable and not something you get rid of either through your own efforts to tell the voice to go away or other people saying, just, for example, try to stop thinking about it.
And the idea that she believed that something was wrong with her brain, or that if people could know what was happening, that the police might get involved, that is something that could happen if somebody articulates those things, right?
Absolutely. It's common sense.
Now, in your report, you also indicate that, in your testimony, you indicated that on January 5th of 2023, that's when Ms. Clancy was discharged from McLean Hospital, and I think your testimony was that she went in there on Seroquel and I think you indicated Klonopin, correct?
Yes.
And your report says Seroquel and Klonopin. You recall that?
Yes.
You're aware that based on the medication journal that is in evidence that she hadn't taken Klonopin since November 27th of 2022.
She had a prescription for that, and I think she may have taken some, but may not have been on a regular basis.
But you've seen the pages of her journal to know that she was pretty diligent about saying exactly what she took on each particular date.
Yes.
Leading up to her stay at McLean and even after.
Yes.
Now, kind of sticking with these medications for a second, you have testified, I think this was yesterday, you testified that you were familiar that after Dawson's birth that she had sought some medication, correct?
Yes.
And I believe you testified yesterday that she was on trazodone, but in fact, she was prescribed Zoloft after Dawson
Yes.
and reported she did never take it,
That's
right?
correct. So after my testimony, I reviewed that, and I confabulated the trazodone with another medication, the Zoloft.
And again, you've talked a lot about that the medications that she was taking, the different medications, didn't provide her with any sort of relief. So it's important to know the different medications she was taking and what the reactions were, right?
I don't know if I talked a lot about it. I was asked questions. I answered them honestly. They didn't provide relief. I would agree with that. And that was the whole point of her seeking help.
In her history, whether it be medication history, a social history, a family history, those are all important things overall for you to look at and examine when coming to ultimate conclusions, right?
For everyone, yes, of course.
So it's important to be accurate when you're recalling or reporting that information.
As much as possible as one can be, yes, that's true.
And as far as the medication goes, I think you testified yesterday that she also took medication in nursing school, correct?
Yes, she did.
And having met with her as many times as you did and reviewing all these records, you're aware that those were in fact Prozac, Wellbutrin, and Propanol that she took in nursing school.
That's correct. That was for her what's called glossophobia, G-O-L-L-O-S-P-H-O-B-I-A. It's fear of public speaking. Most common fear for Americans. 85% of Americans have public speaking phobia. Pretty commonplace. But yes, those are the medications she took while she was in nursing school to go through the program.
But that's not what you testified to yesterday.
I think I mentioned only one or two medications. She had taken 3.
Okay. And you also mentioned today in your testimony, you were asked about the date of December 15th. And I believe your testimony was that's the day she went to Women and Infants. Is
I
that
believe
correct?
so, yes.
Would it if I show you the record, is it fair to say she didn't go to Women and Infants on the 15th, but it was actually December 20th?
Right. I believe she went to the Mass General Hospital ER on the 15th.
And you said in your testimony today that at the Mass General ER, she did not get any help. Do you recall that testimony?
She declined admission to the inpatient. She didn't want to do that. So,
You didn't not get help.
so
Go ahead.
thank you, Your Honor. We have something called the subjective baseline, the cognitive appraisal theme. Help is in the eye of the beholder. If she felt she didn't get help, that's how she felt.
Well, sir, that wasn't the question. And your testimony was she went to the ER and did not get help. That was your testimony, not hers.
Well, my testimony is based on my evaluation of her. This is what Ms. Clancy shared with me. Who am I to doubt what she believes or doesn't believe about the offer for treatment or help? It's her opinion.
She chose to decline the bed at McLean on December 15th, did she not?
Yes.
And she then indicated to the Mass General Hospital that she was going to opt for an outpatient program at the Women and Infants, correct?
Yes.
That's what's in the records.
Yes.
And did she tell you that as well?
Yes.
And as it pertains to the Women and Infants, again, after you review the records, you're aware that a referral had been made to her well before her visit to the ER on the 15th for that same program.
I believe so.
Now, you've indicated in your testimony that it's your opinion that her diagnosis is bipolar disorder with psychotic symptoms, correct?
Yes.
And fair to say, you've reviewed, prior to your report, you had reviewed Dr. Resnick's report.
I'm not.
Can I see counsel sidebar? Go ahead, counsel.
So the question, I believe, was, did you review a report of Dr. Resnick in all your sources of information and before you came to a conclusion about diagnosis?
No, I did not.
Well, one moment, sorry. On page 4 of your report, where you...
One second. Okay, I'm sorry, counsel.
On page 4 of your report, where you list the sources of information, you do identify as number 24, forensic psychiatric evaluation of Philip J. Resnick from 9/27/24, do you not?
I do.
And so that's something you reviewed.
I didn't draw my opinion.
That wasn't a question, sir.
Well,
All right, hold on. Ask the question again. Go ahead.
Did you review his report?
That's not the question.
So the question, sir, is did you review Dr. Resnick's report prior to authoring your report or coming to your conclusions about diagnosis?
I reviewed part of that report. And in my report, I perused through the reports. I did not review all of that report from Dr. Resnick or Dr. Spinelli, for that matter.
Okay. Now, in talking about your review of records, you indicated that there are several thousand pages of Duxbury Hospital records, correct?
7,001 page.
And did you review all of those?
I would say I looked through them, but I did not read every word on every page. They do have a tendency to hang together and are replicative as well.
Were you aware that on May 26, 2023, that the defendant was observed by staff in a note stating that she was visible along the unit hallways, self-propelling her wheelchair with her one-to-one staff, that she had a visit with her mother who brought dinner for her, they ate and played games during the visit? Are you aware of that?
On May 26th.
May 26th of 2023.
May 23. So 3 years ago and a few months? I don't know that. I don't remember.
That would have been approximately 4 months after the incident and on the date of Callan's first birthday, right?
Yes, but you asked if I remember that event, and I don't.
You don't, or you do?
I don't remember that she was seen with her mother on that day who brought food, and she was seen using a wheelchair to travel down the hallway at the hospital. I don't remember.
If I tell you that was read from page 176 of the Duxbury Hospital records, would you agree with that?
I would not doubt that.
And on December 24th of 2023, were you aware that the defendant was observed at Duxbury, monitored on one-to-one for safety, that she accepted medication, meals, and snacks, she spent time in the TV room or sitting outside her room, utilizing phone, and visited with family? Do you recall that, reading that note on page 613 of the Duxbury records?
Of 2023?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't.
And that would have been Cora's birthday.
Okay.
But would you agree with me that if I read that from page 613 in the records, that that would be within that 7,001 page of the record?
I would not doubt that.
How about on January 24th, 2024, where she's observed in a note from Duxbury State Hospital on page 674, saying, where the note reads, patient was visible in the milieu, engageable with both staff and select peers, patient accepted select medications as her baseline, that she was pleasant during interactions, self-propelling in wheelchair in the halls, spending much of the morning and early afternoon in her room and hall on her electronics. Do you recall reading that record?
Not specifically.
And January 24th, 2024 would have been the year anniversary of the incident, correct?
Yes.
But if I read from page 674, you would agree with me that that's part of the Duxbury record?
Yes, I believe it's part of the record.
And on May 26th of 2024, from page 922 of the Duxbury record, patient monitored one-to-one for safety. She's been monitored for high suicide risks, accepted medication, says BFK, and snacks. She spent some time in the TV room or sitting outside her room, utilizing phone. Would you agree that that's a fair reading of page 922?
I have no reason to doubt that.
Okay. And that she's also observed on that same day, visible on the unit while utilizing her phone outside her room, was able to make her needs known appropriately. Patient was observed playing dominoes with peers in the TV room. That was later in the day on May 26, 2024, which would have been Callan's second birthday.
I would believe that that record's probably accurate. I don't remember looking at that record specifically.
How about on September 30th of 2024, page 1,229 of the Duxbury record, where it's noted that she was visible in the unit, attended startup/coffee group, assisted with she was assisted with ADLs as needed. She was in safe behavioral control for the duration of the shift. And that later it reads, patient visible in the hallways, seated in her wheelchair outside her bedroom, using her cell phone, pleasant upon approach, social with select peers. That would have been on September 30th, 2024, which would have been Dawson's 5th birthday. Do you recall reviewing that in the record?
Not off the top of my head, but I have no reason to doubt that it's not an accurate record.
December 24th, 2024, page 1,442 of the Duxbury records. It says the patient was visible on the unit utilizing her phone. Her parents were in to visit and they brought dinner with them. Patient accepted medications and fluids. Patient in good behavioral control, maintaining safety. No SIB noted or reported. What do you have reason to doubt that that's on page 1,442 of the Duxbury record?
I have no reason to doubt that that's not an accurate reflection of what took place that day.
And what's SIB?
Self-injurious behavior.
And so December 24th, 2024, that would have been Cora's 7th birthday, right?
Yes.
So January 24th, 2025, from page 1,514 of the Duxbury records, where it reads, inpatient treatment goal, to work on my mental health and to feel better. It says, she participated in morning ADL routine with staff assistance. Patient was visible on the milieu at times in the hallway utilizing her phone. No SIB has been reported this shift. Does that, do you have any reason to doubt that that's contained on page 1,514?
I have no reason to doubt that.
And the further observations on that day were that the patient was visible on the unit. She was social with select staff and peers and also seen utilizing her phone. Her parents were in to visit and brought her dinner, and they brought dinner with them. That was, again, on January 24th, 2025, which would have been the second anniversary of this incident, correct?
Yes.
May 26, 2025, page 1,782 of the Duxbury records. It says, she did not engage in any SIB. She was visited by her parents this shift. She attended startup group and watched TV. That would have been on May 26, 2025, which would have been Callan's 3rd birthday. Do you have any reason to doubt that in the record?
I have no reason to doubt that.
And on September 30th, 2025 of the Duxbury record on page 2056, reads, patient was visible in the hallway using her phone. No SIB or behavioral issues observed or reported. Do you have any doubt? Do you have reason to doubt that that is an accurate read of page 2056?
I have no reason to doubt that that's not accurate.
And that would have been September 30th, which would have been Dawson's 6th birthday, right?
Yes.
And on December 24th of 2025, page 76 of the patient notes in the Duxbury Hospital records, it reads, ate breakfast, refused lunch, took snacks, utilizing phone, assisted with ADLs, spent some time in the TV room, attended PT, resting in bed after lunch. Do you have any reason to doubt that is contained within the Duxbury records on page 76?
No.
And December 24th would have been Cora's 8th birthday, correct?
Yes.
And on page 152 of the Duxbury records, January 24th, 2026 of this year, patient observed for safety, assess mental status, encourage safe behavioral control, monitoring for abrupt behavior change and attempt to prevent escalation or self-harm, encourage patient to participate in groups. On this particular day, she was also observed compliant with meds, ate breakfast, participated in coffee group, visible in the hallway utilizing her phone, later visited with parents, and had an early lunch. That was on January 24th of 2026. Do you have any reason to doubt that's within the records?
No.
And that she was later observed to not have any SIB or behavioral issues, again on January 24th, 2026. Do you have any reason to doubt that's contained within the Duxbury records?
No. No.
And again, you reviewed or looked at some of them, but not every one of these. But these are already currently in evidence, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move to admit these excerpts as the next exhibit, please.
Any objection? No problem. All right, that may be admitted. Thank you.
And Dr. Zeisel, as far as the records that I just read in, do you know if in those records it indicates that she slept well? on all of those occasions?
I wouldn't know. I don't know how.
Well, you would agree that noting her sleeping habits based on this particular individual's history would be an important thing for the hospital to monitor, correct?
I would agree with that.
Now, in this particular case, well, let me ask you, are you familiar with the concept of confirmation bias?
Of course.
And fair to say it's pretty prevalent in most areas of science and forensic psychology and psychiatry, correct?
It courses all domains of work and life.
And as far as confirmation bias for psychiatry or providers, fair to say that clinicians are warned that they may lean towards or support their own theories and overlook contradictory evidence. And that you have to be aware of that, correct?
Yes.
And again, in forensic psychology, the goal is to render an objective opinion, right?
Yes, the facts come to you. You don't go to the facts.
Okay. And there's a danger for clinicians and forensic psychologists of quickly forming an initial diagnosis before having all the information, correct?
Yes.
And that confirmation bias accounts for the fact that a lot of times people, clinicians and providers will cling to diagnoses and interpret subsequent information in light of that kind of already perceived idea. Is that fair to say?
They cling, I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. They cling to a diagnosis?
Well, once a diagnosis is reached, they cling to that diagnosis when interpreting subsequent information.
That happens, yes.
And but you would agree that in practice of forensic psychology that it's important not to do that, right?
Particularly with the guidelines of criminal responsibility where you don't need a diagnosis. You just need a mental disease or defect.
The diagnoses are helpful in understanding whether the person was suffering from this legal construct of a mental disease or defect, correct?
That's fair to say.
And it's fairly accepted in the field that if somebody has a disorder or a diagnosed mental illness, that they then in turn suffer from a mental disease or defect. Or could.
Or could, because you can have a phobia. Doesn't mean you have a mental disease or defect. If you're afraid to jump out of airplanes, it doesn't make you ineffective and have a defect or a disease. So yes, it could.
I ask you to keep your voice up.
Yes, Your Honor. So it could, but it doesn't always have to.
Thank you.
Of course.
And you're aware of the danger of this idea of confirmation bias of having multiple relationships and conflicts in this type of work, correct?
Yes.
And that's why it's important not to be treating somebody as a patient when you're also evaluating them for this type of legal issue, right?
Of course, you cannot be the therapist and the examiner. The therapist is an advocate. The examiner looks for the truth.
And do you recall in this case submitting recommendations to the court in November of 2025 about the defendant regarding accommodations for her?
I know in general, but I don't know specifically what those accommodations requests were. I can't remember them.
But you authored and signed a letter dated November 13th, 2025 to the court, correct?
Yes, but I'm saying I don't remember specifically what those recommendations were. I know I did that.
I'm not asking you that. I'm just asking if you wrote the letter.
Hold on. Just ask a question. Doctor, go ahead. If you listen to the question.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking if you wrote the letter, sir.
Yes.
And in that letter, you refer to providing essential clinical findings regarding the transportation of my patient, Lindsay Clancy. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
And so at various points throughout over the years of this case, you have referred to her as your patient, have you not?
I wouldn't be, I think, able to define her as something else. She was a patient who I did a forensic evaluation of. Well,
you referred to the court outside of this evaluation you're testifying about to her as your patient in this letter from November 13th of 2025.
Right. I evaluated Ms. Clancy, who is a patient. If I evaluated her, then she's my patient, as she is other doctors' patients at Duxbury and other places that she's been at.
But you call her my patient in the letter.
I wrote the letter. Whose patient would I be referring to if I'm speaking about Ms. Clancy, given that she's my patient? Yes, I wrote she was my patient. That's correct.
Okay. And you're aware of, again, the APA guidelines on forensic psychology, where it warns therapeutic forensic role conflicts. Providing forensic and therapeutic psychological services to the same individual involves multiple relationships that may impair objectivity and or cause exploitation or other harm. You're aware of that, section 4.02?
Yes.
And in this particular case, since the beginning, you've appeared regularly in court hearings, right?
Yes.
You've appeared with Attorney Reddington at arraignment proceedings,
At his request, yes.
both here and at Duxbury State Hospital, where you were sitting next to the defendant.
Yes.
And you also, on February 8th of 2023, participated in a news conference, did you not?
Yes.
It was outside the courthouse here.
Yes.
And you gave an interview with the Daily News where you commented on this.
I just made a comment. That's correct.
And at this time, Your Honor, I'd like to play a clip of the news conference, please.
Mr. Reddington?
Why not?
All right.
And say absolutely feels dreamlike to her as she's alcoholic. And individuals who present being lucid and linear do not make them not mentally ill. They have the capacity to be able to do things at their time. When you have delusional thinking, fixed beliefs that are unchangeable, and hallucinations, namely command hallucinations, telling you to do things that are malevolent, and you believe those voices telling you need to follow what they say, that's when things are really, strictly, and familiarly. And that's what we see as tragicals. You could be healthy and normal, frankly, because they're paranoid, worried about what others think, pull back on what they care. And in some cases throughout the country and the world, one day will be functioning well, but because they have the onset of hallucinations, which you to leave the voice, they have to. That's when tragedy occurs. And I think that is under the overriding rubric that this case falls under.
So, sir, on December 8th of 2023, when you provided that, your observations, you had met with the defendant on 2 occasions, correct?
I believe 3 occasions.
Okay. Had you any of the records that have been presented in the course of this trial?
No.
Any of the records that are listed in your sources of information?
No.
And as you sit here and testify today, you've testified to the same conclusions, correct?
What I said was individuals like that present this way. I was not referring to Ms. Clancy. I said individuals who have these symptoms, like the ones I clarified, present that way. That was not an assessment of Ms. Clancy. That was an assessment of people who go through major mental health crises.
But as you sat here today, you've talked about the fact that she had delusional thinking, the fact that she had command hallucinations, the fact that she believed that these voices and that she was paranoid and worried. You've consistently testified about that throughout the course of yesterday and today, correct?
So
it's a yes or no.
you make it impossible to answer that question.
All right, the next question.
In addition to, you testified today that a person in a psychotic state can do things they've done before, but it might be hard for them to do new tasks, right?
Yes.
So if it's something that is part of their daily life, getting up, caring for the kids, feeding, making a meal, driving a car, those are things that people do every day and a lot of times don't even have to think about, right?
Yes. No thinking necessary. It's a
but you're-
visceral response, automatic response.
You're aware that on this particular day of this incident, on January 24th of 2023, that the defendant took Cora to the doctors, right?
Yes.
And you indicated in your testimony today that it was for a regular checkup, but in your report you identified that it was for a stomach ache, right?
Yes. She had a stomach ache.
But in addition to maybe her having a stomach ache, she had previously had this visit scheduled, and you're aware of that now, correct?
Yes.
And at the doctor, there was a recommendation made for an over-the-counter medication, right?
Yes.
And the defendant was able to process that information, take it back with her, and then later, not immediately after the visit, but later in the day, search for where to get that medication, right?
Psychosis doesn't lower your intellectual functioning, so you can do all those things. So
Well,
that's
that
correct.
wasn't my question. My question was, did she do those things?
Yes, so that's correct.
Okay. And you've talked a lot about that a person can operate as normally as they can, but fair to say, if you're in a psychotic state, that person themselves has a significant amount of distress, right?
Yes.
And that in order to mask those symptoms, it requires an enormous amount of control. Does it not?
It depends on the level and the extremism of the psychotic processing. So some people will hear voices that are nominal, they whisper. Some people hear voices that are yelling and screaming. So it's on a range, it's a continuum. So the more upsetting, more powerful, demanding the voice, the more difficult it might be to resist it and do other things. The less, the easier it is.
In all of the time between September of 2022 and January 23rd of 2023, at any point in which the defendant heard these voices about harming herself, she didn't act on them then, did she?
That's correct, yes. She did not act on those. She sought help instead.
One moment, please. Your Honor, I would move to admit the recording played as the next exhibit.
I'm sorry, the what?
The recording that was played, I move to enter it as the next exhibit, please.
That may be admitted.
If I can find it. Here it is. Thank you.
284.
Thank you.
I have no further questions at this time.
Let's talk about confirmation.
Can I sit down, please?
Oh, hold on. Let Ms. Buckingham
Thank you.
have a seat.
Confirmation bias. In the field of forensics, interface of science and the law, trial of cases, hiring experts, having people give an opinion that a jury is going to listen to. Confirmation bias means that the individual might want to help out the person that they're testifying for. Is that right?
It can be, yes.
So in other words, if you have a shooting case and you're a ballistics guy, and without the ballistics showing that the defendant's gun shot the victim, the government has no case. They may send an email to that witness and say, hey, I really need your help here. And that might influence them, right?
Yes.
Now you got involved with this case, as you indicated, out of my request, obviously,
Yes.
compassion.
Correct.
The fact you had a young lady that was literally in extreme condition, emotionally, physically, you went to speak with her, correct?
I did, yes.
Do you care for her?
I do.
And is that a violation of the canon of ethics for professionals like you if you care for your patient?
Not at all. Within the ethical standards, it's also noted to do an appropriate and meaningful forensic evaluation. It's strongly suggested you develop empathy and rapport. And when you have those two psychological constructs, you get more information from the respondent. You do not cherry pick the information. You include warts and all in your report. That avoids confirmatory bias, and you avoid confirmatory bias by also not looking at conclusions that other examiners come up with when they render their opinions, and you do your evaluations independent of anyone else. You do it by yourself.
How many times did you see her?
At the time that my report was
No, right about now.
60 times.
How many hours have you put in sitting with Lindsay, either in the hospital or evaluating?
More than that, roughly.
And you have all of that information that you have brought here today yesterday to testify to this jury. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you confirmed bias? Are you not telling the truth just to help Lindsay out, or is this your opinion based upon your review of the records, your interview of her, whether or not you care for her or not?
Overruled. Overruled.
I am telling the truth. She
Yeah. You can re-ask that question. That answer will be stricken.
So you can't tell someone you're telling the truth and say that's up to the jury to decide. Your opinion is based upon all of the times that you met with Lindsay, right?
Yes.
All of the documents that you've reviewed, all of this, all the exhibits, everything you're aware of, right?
Yes, as well as collateral contacts.
And in the course of your treatment and evaluation of her, one of the things the DA asked you about is the request that we brought to the court for accommodations. Do you recall that question from her?
Yes.
And is it your understanding that the request that we had seeking help from the judge was that she not be chained to a van when she's brought into this courthouse
Objection.
No,
for a
overruled.
5-week trial?
Yes, from Duxbury to Plymouth.
And her medical condition with her paralysis and all of the rest of the bodily functions that you lose, that's a concern, isn't that right?
Very much so, yes.
And we also had to have the help of nurses that would be available in the event that there was any type of emergency issue, correct? That we had to ask of the
No,
court.
overruled.
Yes, they're here every day.
So, confirmation bias. Can you tell this jury, is your opinion based upon money? Maybe you like me, maybe you want to help her, or is that based to your best ability as a professional of many, many years?
Yes. Confirmation bias is coming up with a conclusion before you reach an opinion. It's, in Latin, a tabula rasa, a blank slate. You draw no conclusion. The conclusion finds you. And if you don't do that, you are at risk of having confirmation bias.
I'm going to ask you a hypothetical and see if the hypothetical fits within your understanding as an expert of confirmation bias. Let's say hypothetically that a young woman is involved in an incident such as this that results in the death of her 3 babies. And that young woman is paralyzed. And that young woman is in a hospital. That young woman is facing indictments for triple homicide. And the incident occurred on January 24th, 2023. And it's not until 2026 that the district attorney's office hires 3 doctors.
Objection.
Yeah. Sustained.
Sidebar?
sitting here for a little bit. We're going to take a short break at this point, give you a chance to take a break, and then we'll come right back and we'll continue with the testimony of this witness. Okay?
All rise, please. Jurors exit.
Jurors have exited the courtroom. This court's in session.
All right, we'll be in a short recess at this time. Thank you. All right. Yeah.
All rise, please. Jurors entering. Court is back in session. You may be seated.
Your Honor, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present, including the defendant and including the witness.
All right, we'll return now to redirect counsel.
Thank you. So, as it relates to the concept of confirmatory bias, sir, in your opinion, with your experience, does the period of time within which an expert is hired by one side or another to evaluate a person and give an opinion, in other words, if it's a compressed period of time as opposed to an expanded period of time, is that one indication of confirmatory bias?
Objection.
No, overruled.
It depends on the examiner and the situation. It can be, but individuals who pay attention to that concern should maintain healthful boundaries and not have any confirmatory bias.
What does that mean?
It means stay in your lane.
That's better. Now, one of the things that the district attorney did is took the 7,001 pages of the records from Duxbury Hospital and read excerpts from them to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Lindsay, after she was taken from South Shore Hospital to Brigham and Women's, then from Brigham and Women's to the rehab, Spalding Rehab, she ended up in Duxbury. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Duxbury's been very good. I mean, in your opinion, have they been good with her? And
Fantastic.
Fantastic. But nevertheless, that is still a facility that is a state facility, right?
Yes.
And the district attorney asked you about the plan to have Lindsay go to another facility, Worcester, I think it was?
Worcester Recovery Center Hospital.
Is that a relatively new facility?
It's, I believe, the newest facility in the Commonwealth.
And did we have Lindsay evaluated to have her transferred to Worcester Hospital?
Yes.
Was she allowed to make entry into Worcester facility?
She was not.
Why is that?
She was not allowed because
Overruled.
she was not allowed because she has pending criminal charges.
That'd be this case here, right?
That's this case here.
And the district attorney took the 7,000 pages in one of the records and apparently went through them to the anniversary of the death of her 3 children, correct?
Yes.
Went through them to highlight each birthday of her 3 children. Is that correct?
Yes.
In your opinion, you've been in a lot of mental institutions and facilities in the Commonwealth and out of the state, correct?
Yes.
Is it your understanding to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that the fact that a woman who is paralyzed is propelling herself down the hall from one room to another is indicative of anything?
Not at all.
How about the fact that her mother and father, who have been with her for 3 years and practically missed not one day of sitting with her and bringing her dinner or lunch, is that something that would be indicative of undercutting the fact that the woman was suffering from mental disease or defect?
That's indicative of love. And
How about the fact that she's talking to other inmates or people that are patients? And in your review of the records, would you tell us your opinion as to her level and degree of popularity, bluntly, in that particular ward?
she is extremely well regarded and well liked on that unit by everyone.
Overruled.
How about, in reviewing the records, I didn't hear that she's laughing and partying and having a good time while she's in the Duxbury hospital. Did you see anything like that?
No, Lindsay Clancy has bad days and worse days.
And when you speak with her and meet with her, doctor, has she ever mentioned her children? Because apparently, according to the questioning that you underwent, she never talks about her kids.
She does speak about her children.
What does she say?
She really loves them and misses them and thinks of them every single day, almost every moment of the day.
And finally, doctor, I'm holding up what has been marked as Exhibit 1 or I don't know, for identification. Have you seen this before?
Yes, I have.
And in your dealing with Lindsay and interview of collateral contacts such as Patrick, do you know what that is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is called a wish vase.
And what does that mean and what is it?
This is a vase that Miss Clancy and her husband purchased in Hawaii when they went on their honeymoon shortly after getting married.
Yeah, sure. See sidebar, please.
Your Honor, I would hand this to Chrissy to have it marked.
All right. Over the Commonwealth's objection, that may be admitted.
Thank you very much.
All right. Commonwealth?
Very briefly, please. Doctor, how many defendants that you've evaluated for criminal responsibility have you spent 35 hours evaluating?
One
Is that
one other person.
And however, how many other defendants have you evaluated that you've testified that you care deeply for them?
I would say one other one.
And how many other defendants have you given press conferences about?
None.
And how many other defendants that you've evaluated have you gone back every day until the lockup to check on?
I was sequestered on all those other trials. I was not even allowed in the court.
Now, you were asked about confirmation bias and given a hypothetical about so if somebody was asked to examine a gun, right? You recall that
Yes,
line
I
of
do.
questioning?
Yes.
You were hired by the defense in this case, were you not?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as your conversations with the defendant about her children, you're also aware that she continually refers to this situation as my tragedy, does she not?
That moniker of my tragedy, that's just one of the things that she'll say.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And what's the reason that, with the understanding of the court and permission, that you go to the lockup and see her during this trial?
I go to the
Sustained.
Well, while she's in Duxbury, counsel kept referring to SID, SI. What is SI?
SI is suicide intention or suicide ideation.
In Duxbury, excuse me, in Duxbury, has there been a concern of suicidal ideation?
Yes.
And what as a result of that, SI, as counsel kept repeating to you through the records, is her status at Duxbury.
She's on a constant one-to-one to ensure that Ms. Clancy doesn't take her own life.
And that is somewhat similar to the reference in Brigham and Women's Hospital when you were talking with her that there was a nurse that was sitting in the corner of the room at all times. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Inferentially was able to hear any conversation that you had with Lindsay, right?
I asked those people to leave.
Thank you.
Counsel, can I see just one?
So finally, I will ask you again, what, to your understanding, is the purpose of you during this trial going back, as the counsel asked you about, to the lockup with Lindsay?
To ensure that Ms. Clancy is stable and competent to stand trial.
Any concerns as far as her SI?
She's in good hands at the moment, but there's always a concern that sits directly below the surface.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Attorney Buckingham, please.
Dr. Zeisel, in 3 years, she's never made an attempt to harm herself, has she? Other than January 24th of 2023.
No.
All right. Anything further?
Judge, thank you.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Your Honor.